Ladies and gentlemen, it's story time on a Friday night. Tell us a story, boys.
Good evening. All gathered here with PowWows.com. Got an interview with you tonight. Coming to you, a pro ultimate Frisbee player. And he'll tell you about all about his travels around the country playing ultimate Frisbee. So learn more about our native athletes tonight. But while you're waiting, post the comments and let me know where you're watching from. We'll get started in just a minute. Hello, everybody. We're going to start the show in just a minute more. Post in the comments, let me know where you're watching from. Got a great show for you tonight. And don't forget, stick around, and I'm going to give you a special bonus code to get better entries or more entries into our Pendleton Blanket giveaway.
Put your hands together one more time.
Good evening, everybody. Paul Gouder here from PowWows.com. Thank you for being here tonight. We are live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Thanks so much. This is the show we do each week, PowWow Nation Live. It is the weekly show from PowWows.com. Thank you for being here. If you're new, PowWows.com is your place to come and explore more about Native culture. Whether you're new to PowWows, whether you have been dancing for years, or you're just interested in learning more about it. This is your place to connect and experience Native culture, and we do it through a number of ways. Live shows like this, we stream PowWows live when it's not COVID time, and we also have got a ton of information on our website. And hey, PowWows are back, so don't forget, go check out our PowWow calendar. We've got lots of PowWows being entered into the calendar, www.powwows.com/calendar, or the link up on your screen now, www.powwows.com/powwowsnearme. Got a great interview for you tonight. He is a Native athlete who has been playing in the professional ultimate Frisbee league for years and has set tons of records. So we got that in just a minute. But hold on. You can't see me on Facebook and Instagram. There we go. Sorry about that. On Facebook and YouTube. Sorry. And it looks like he's watching on Instagram tonight. So if you got questions, post out there. We'll get to Brandon's interview in just a minute. Also, I mentioned in the intro, we do have a Pendleton Blanket giveaway going on through the end of February. So if you want to get extra entries into that, be sure to go head on over to www.powwows.com/win and stay tuned. At the end of the show, I'll give a bonus code only for those people that are watching tonight. That's the only way you'll get it, is watching this video, and it gives you extra entries into that contest. All right, couple more announcements. Let's see. Checking my list here. So I found Brandon on Instagram because I've gotten into, if people have heard me talk about this before, I've gotten into disc golf, and so following Leah Sinigini, who PowWows.com is sponsoring for the 2022 season in disc golf, and because of her, I saw Brandon's post on Instagram too, and so got to talking with him. But I do want to say, please go and check out our shop. We do have lots of merchandise like the sweatshirt I'm wearing, but also we have come out with some things, and we'll have more soon for Leah Sinigini, who is on the professional disc golf tour. And the proceeds of this shirt and her disc or other things we've got for sale or stickers are going to go to help support her on tour this year. So please go check that out, www.powwows.com/shop. I also want to say a special thank you to uh, Department of Health and Human Services and their sponsorship of tonight's video. So let me play their video. So thank you very much for their sponsorship. We can do this, Indian country. We can get through this pandemic.
Do you know I love you so, and mommy will never let you go. To the stars and the sky, you'll always be mommy's little guy. Hey oh, hey oh, hey oh.
All right, thank you for their sponsorship, and please go check out their information they have over at www.PowWows.com/vaccine. Let's get that taken care of, and let's make sure PowWows stay. So I do want to say also some shout outs to, man, seeing lots of people from all over. I saw Albuquerque, Winnipeg, hello, Maine, Frog Lake First Nations, hello. Alfonso from California is watching. We got tons of people. I see people are recognizing the song from that commercial. Yep, that is Fawn Wood. Recognize that voice anywhere, right? Wisconsin's watching. Perth, Australia. Hey, from down under. That is awesome. Thanks for being here. Clark, hello. Rodney, good to see you. All right. So I've got some other announcements, and we'll do the bonus code at the end of the video. But let's see. I do want to introduce Brandon. And I think the best way to do that is just to show you a little bit about what Ultimate Frisbee is. So this is a video of one of his highlights. And if you've ever played Ultimate, it is a super fast game. Really, and a lot of skill with a Frisbee. So here is one of his highlights.
Release flick from Kittleson, and now launching this one deep. The Madison defender had a couple of steps, but Mattis runs by him. What an acceleration play from Brandon Mattis to tie the game at 13.
Great run by Mattis.
Unreal. When Scott
The
Hearn
breakaway
let that
speed
go,
is
it looked like a poor
unbelievable.
decision.
Oh, absolutely.
Agreed.
He knew his receiver better than we did.
I mean, he was a couple steps behind.
Pretty incredible that that kind of speed. I didn't have that speed in a younger age, and I definitely don't have it now. But like I said, Brandon, he plays for the team up in the Chicago area, I believe. And here is his official team picture, and I love this shot of him. Check this out, Instagram. That shot, what a photo! First of all, whoever took that, incredible capture, and what skill that Brandon is showing there. So, all right, here is my interview with him. And so, again, I do this to kind of highlight what's going on in Indian country, but also to really tell the stories of these athletes and other people. We've had other, singers and authors on before, but I hope you enjoy hearing the stories from these folks and getting a little bit to know them more. Please make sure you go follow him. I'll put his link to Instagram up in just a second. All right, so here is our interview with Brandon Mattis. Okay, so I have to ask you to start with, when was the first time you remember having a Frisbee in your hands?
First time I remember having a Frisbee in my hand, not an official one. I mean,
No,
I played with,
just playing around.
those
You remember?
beach ones. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I was probably a kid at some point. I can't remember exactly when it was, but I know I used to throw the kind of like 99-cent Target, Walmart ones around in
Yeah.
the backyard every once in a while, or
That's-
the rubber ring ones that don't have a center to them. I used to throw those every once. So
Oh,
it was
yeah,
probably,
yeah.
I was probably elementary school, middle school.
Awesome. Cool. And so, and we'll go ahead and tell us a little bit about, yourself and how did you get into playing disc sports?
Yeah, so my name's Brandon Mattis. I'm a professional ultimate Frisbee player for the Minnesota Wind Chill. I got into Frisbee because of a swim team that I was on, believe it or not. So I swam in high school and college. the swim team that I was on in high school used to play like pick up Frisbee on Friday afternoons in the summer just to do some team bonding and get some cardio in before we hit the pool. And I loved it. So I was looking for some more opportunities to play, found a local like high school team that played pickup on Saturday afternoons, started going to those. And long story short, they convinced me to start our high school team because we didn't actually have one. So I ended up playing 1 year in high school. My senior year, we had 12 players, which for 7 people on a field at a time, so not too many, and 10 of them were seniors. So surprisingly, that program is still around even after all that. Yeah, and then I went on to play 5 years in college. I actually tried out for the pro team my junior year of college. I was 19. Was the last player taken on the inaugural roster in
Nice.
2013. I am the resident OG now. I'm the only one left that's played every season, and I haven't looked back since. So I quit swimming to play Frisbee full time, and it ultimately, pun intended, seemed like the right decision.
And I'm sure a lot of people are they've maybe seen Ultimate played at college, like pickup games, like you were saying, and don't even know that there is college. It's a big college scene with Ultimate competitively, and then now that we have the Pro League too. So for those out there that aren't familiar with it, can you talk a little bit about the college and the pro levels there?
Yeah, there's 2 main levels. There's the amateur and pro or semi-pro. I mean, we're not quite at the level yet where we're doing this full time. So some people consider it semi-pro. It's trying to be a professional sport. So, I mean, we'll label it as pro because of that. But the amateur level would be, youth. So middle school, high school, college, and then adult club, actually, which is really, really competitive. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but it does get really competitive. And that's all kind of tournament format. So you go to one location with 8 to 32 teams or so and play like kind of a pool play round robin, just like you would see in soccer or some of those other sports. It's all self call, which is pretty unique. There's observers at higher levels, but the point of the sport was to kind of be an anti-sport. So you're supposed to kind of, use sportsmanship, not cheat, you not use the rules to your advantage, talk about discrepancies with the players on the field. So that's kind of one like exciting or unique little nuance about the kind of amateur level. Most of us in the pro league also play club. So we're also, playing that kind of tournament format in the fall. And then the pro leagues, the AUDL started in 2012, which is the one that I play in. There was another men's pro league called the MLU, which is since folded. So the AUDL is the only men's pro league left. And then recently the Premier Ultimate League for women and non-binary players, and then the Western Ultimate League, which is basically just like the West Coast equivalent of the PUL, started up too. So there's some nuance between those games. The AUDL's refed instead of self-call, I think, mostly just because it's easier for fans to enjoy and easier to watch on a live stream. And then it's 1 game format. So we just play a game on Saturday, 4 quarters, and then we're done. It's not the kind of tournament round robin style. And then, I don't know. It's mostly the clock and the refs that are the big difference between the leagues, but most of us are playing both. We're playing the AUDL from January to August when our season ends, and then we're playing club from June to October when club nationals is. So it's 10 straight months of grinds with the disc in your hand.
It's a long time. So I got into the disc golf during the whole quarantine, and one of the people I was following was Brody Smith, who was an Ultimate player. So was he in the league you're in?
He was. Yep.
Okay.
So he was on the inaugural Indy team in 2012. And then I can't remember when he fell out of the league, but he played with Indy for a couple of years, and then he played with Chicago for a little bit. and Chicago and Indy are both in my division, the division that Minnesota's in. So I actually played against Brody for 2 to 3 years, probably before he hung it up. Really good player, super athletic, big, amazing throws. Unfortunately, was a little bit injury riddled by the time the AUDL got around, so he didn't really get to have a successful pro Frisbee career. But seems like the disc golf thing is working out for him now.
Yeah, it's so far. Be curious. This is really like third year on the tour.
Yeah.
Last year he missed some. Was first year he missed some tournaments because of Lyme disease, and then last year he missed some because of COVID. So
yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and we've gotten in the disc golf, we've gotten several ultimate players switching over. Leah now switching over, and there's a couple other females that have made the switch. So it's interesting to see how that's going. I think like for Brody, ultimate, eventually his knees, he just couldn't do it anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So at least now that you guys are really taking off and having that kind of rise like disc golf is having, it'll be interesting to see if there is more of a transition as they get a little older. Are they going to start moving over to other
for
sports?
Sure. I mean, I never played disc golf really. The discs are so different. I mean, like an ultimate disc is meant to fly flat for a long distance so that people can run onto it, whereas a disc golf disc moves in so many different ways, and the speed and the spin, and it's like totally like you could be a really good ultimate thrower and not be a good disc golf thrower at all. So I never played it just because I was uncomfortable with those discs, but I picked it up a little bit over the pandemic, like you were saying. I mean, it was an easy way to get with 1 or 2 friends in a safe way outside and be distanced and still have a disc in your hands and do something relatively athletic. So I think a lot of people found disc golf to be a fun hobby to pick up over the pandemic, and right now there's a lot more money in it than there is for ultimate, so that's certainly appealing to people too. And we know how to throw discs, so it take a little bit of practice, but eventually it comes around pretty quickly, I think, especially for people like Leah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're already an athlete, there's certain things that you're already going to be good at. And yeah, you're right. The money right now, you've got top two players on the men's side are both making $1 million a year. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm pretty jealous about that contract, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
We're not even close to there yet.
I'm wearing the Macbeth stuff tonight. I mean, he's doing really well. Macbeth and Wasaki, both they're incredible. Well, and so in disc sports, I mean, in general, whether it's ultimate or disc golf, it's a really low barrier to entry. But yet it doesn't have that super wide, I guess, not acceptance, but it's just, there's not a whole lot of penetration into young kids. It's not like down here, at least in the South, where there's any field in the summer, there's 100 kids or more playing soccer at 7 o'clock in the morning and then going all day. What is it going to take now to get either one of these sports a little more widely known, and for some of these kids to figure out there is, like you said, maybe not full professional, but at least semi-professional route here that they could make some of this a career.
Yeah, I mean, I think the advent of the semi-pro or pro leagues is a big step in that direction. We're live streaming games. We're routinely getting on Sports Center top 10 plays. We've had a couple showcases in front of NFL crowds where we're playing at halftime of the Vikings or Packers games, stuff like that. Just the more eyeballs that we can get on the sport, obviously, is going to help increase that. I think it's a relatively new sport too, at least at the level that it is now. So I think a lot of we have a long way to go in terms of getting people out there and coaching, but with people getting more elite playing experience, and now having played for a long time and then being able to, or getting to the age where they're thinking about retiring, like we can switch some players over to coaching, and I think that'll certainly help. But yeah, I mean, the money is a big thing. I mean, the AUDL has been working to do some stuff where we send discs to teams and have them run mini camps with local city parks and rec departments, and we give discs away and try to reduce that's what it's all about. If we can get people on board, good sponsors, good people that are willing to put the time and effort in, and then continue to, get the sport and the highlights in front of some eyeballs. I think the combination of those is really what it's going to take. Because you're right. I mean, at its simplest, all you need is a disc. Like the
Right.
sport was invented where people are playing barefoot, and you can use shoes for cone. Like you literally just need a $10 piece of plastic and a couple of friends, and you can play. So
Right.
yeah, it's a matter of getting eyeballs on the sport, and getting people and resources that are willing to invest in doing so. So
Yeah.
I think that's where we're at right now.
Agreed. And more eyeballs, that's the key. It's also exciting to see, and going back to disc golf, Ricky Wasaki, he's doing a foundation where they're going to send discs to schools. And then Macbeth is doing a foundation where they're putting courses in for underprivileged areas and people who may not have access to a course anywhere soon. I know they did one in Mexico. They've done one in the inner cities of Chicago. And the PDGA, with Leah's help, had just put a course in or worked with the tribe. And so there's a new course going in Cherokee, North Carolina.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's really great. I know when I talked to Leah, we talked about that and her involvement with the PDGA board and really trying to reach out to the indigenous community. But what are you seeing in your sport? I mean, are you seeing more not just indigenous athletes, but minority athletes at all? Is it a growing area in your sport? Is it still an area that needs focus?
I think it is. I think the ultimate community as a whole is very progressive and socially conscious. The increase of the women's divisions and the non-binary divisions, like those are definitely helping. I feel like you need to have role models that look like you in order to feel like you can play a sport. So that's certainly helped. I think there's been a big focus on specifically getting more Black athletes involved in playing. I was pretty impressed with the college division had like a rescheduling from May last year. Usually nationals is in May, but they did a December nationals this year just because of COVID and some scheduling issues. And I was pretty impressed with the women's division. I saw a lot of Asian American women players specifically. So I mean, it's a known issue, I think, or want in the Frisbee community. And I think there's a lot of people that are pushing for it. We've gotten a lot better. I still think there's obviously a lot of work to do in that department, but yeah, it starts with getting more people involved, right? The more popular the sport is, the lower the cost of entry, and the more people that look like you that play, I think the higher the chance that that's going to increase. And we hope it does. Absolutely.
Yeah. I know like the golf and the PGA put a lot of money into reaching out to minority communities. But still to get into golf, I mean, you're talking hundreds of dollars. And that's just to get on a course where ultimately you just need a field, and disc golf, 90% of the courses are free. So just show up and start playing. Yeah. I'm hoping it really does spread. All right. So I asked Leah this question too. I know you're touring all over the country. You're moving about. Are you able to, when you're out, are you able to hit any powwows? Are you able to see any of that when you're on tour?
This is probably a good time to bring this up. I didn't grow up with my native heritage like at all. My grandpa actually didn't find out that he was native until he was 48. And at that point, my mom was already 26. And so they were never really involved with it growing up. I took it kind of upon myself, especially with the known issues that kind of stemmed from the pandemic, and we're in Minneapolis. So, George Floyd and everything that surrounded that, it really sparked an interest in me to take, to learn more about that side of my family's heritage. I've obviously been very privileged, to grow up the way that I have in kind of suburban America and being white presenting and mixed. So it's been very recent that I've dove in. I've only been to a handful of powwows. I actually have an aunt who is not on my mom's side at all. So we're not blood related. It's just through marriage. But she's taken me to a few, and I've really leaned on her to kind of help out. I've not been able to attend any while I've been traveling for Frisbee, but it is something that I'd be really excited to do coming up. So
That's awesome. That's awesome.
yeah.
That just, you definitely try to hit some up. So I was telling Leah, hopefully, we can, if I'm out at a powwow, we can maybe meet up or something. But yeah,
That would be amazing.
yeah, and I don't think your story is unique. It's something, it was not talked about in my family either until later in life. Yeah, I don't think that's unique. I think that's fairly common. So, you want, like, so you want to tell me more about, or you want to talk any more about that and how that struggle has been going, or anything else about that part of it?
I found I mean, it's been kind of unique. Like, I feel like there's a mixed bag between people that are very excited about either mixed or, like disconnected Indigenous and Native people that have been trying to reconnect. And I feel like there's maybe a little bit of a stigma around that as well. Just not being involved. And yeah, I think my story probably connects with a lot of people, and that it's not necessarily my fault that I didn't grow up with that. And I think as long as you continue to kind of learn and recognize obviously where my privileges come from with the things that I've talked about before, but try to learn and be invested in issues and give back to Native businesses and organizations and communities and do some of that kind of stuff. I think if your head and heart's in the right place, that's really all that matters, in my opinion. So I know where I come from. Obviously, I know what my privileges are, but it's still a part of who I am. It's still a part of my family's history. So it's something that I care to learn more about. Obviously, yeah. I had like a little high school program actually, which I think is really cool. Looking back on it, we got pulled out of class. There was like maybe 8 to 10 of us at my high school that would get pulled out of class once a month, and we had somebody from a local tribe that would come talk to us about some cultural stuff, and we would craft a little bit. And
Wow.
it kind of felt like just a way for me to get out of doing real schoolwork. But looking back, it was pretty cool that our district had that program, and I might not have even really known that was a piece of us unless I had that. But
Right.
you get kind of the stares like, oh, what is he leaving class for? And then you kind of tell them it's for this Native American program, and they're like, well, you look really white, like you can't be that much Native. And it's like, but I am, like we have that. I can trace that back to grandpa and great grandpa, so I know it's there. So yeah, it doesn't feel like a struggle. I mean, like there's definitely been some stigma. There's some interesting conversations with people where you kind of have to explain the whole relationship between the tribe and growing up disconnected and blood quantum and all those kind of things. But yeah, I've really enjoyed my experience learning about it recently, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I think all that stuff is important, and just going to continue kind of doing my best to keep doing that and lean on some people that like yourself who've reached out, and Leah, who is one of the few disc sport Indigenous people that I know. So try to connect with her as much as I can. I finally got to meet her at Club Nationals this last October, which is amazing. Yeah, and like my aunt and a couple other people who have just been really helpful, and just learn and absorb as much as I can, and but recognize that I've been a little bit more lucky than some people too. So
Yeah. And when we were talking before the interview, you had mentioned that there's other Native athletes out there that that you have kind of followed or whatever. Do you want to mention any of those other people, kind of role models or inspiration for you?
yeah, I think actually one of the biggest ones, and this ties kind of directly back to maybe not being super comfortable with rediving into the culture. Spencer O'Brien, she's a Canadian snowboard Olympian. Not too long ago, I think it was during the pandemic, so it must have been 2020 probably. She posted an Instagram post about what it was like to kind of grow up mixed, and what it looked like to be a white presenting, Native person, and how she would get the looks and the conversations. So I really appreciated her perspective on it. I think it gave me some introspection for myself on kind of what my experience was like. Um, so shout out to her for sure. That was really her experience, and the way that she wrote about it was super instrumental for me personally. Gave me the confidence to kind of dive into it without all the kind of embarrassment or like imposter syndrome that kind of comes with that. I've been following the Thompson brothers for lacrosse. I think Lyle specifically has been killing it lately. Bridget LaRoque from Canada, she's doing scouting for the Blackhawks right now for hockey. She's amazing. Yeah, there have been a few. I mean, that's where I started, right? Like I'm an athlete by heart and by nature. So like the easiest way for me to start connecting, I think, with the indigenous background that I have was to find people that are also athletes, as they think like you. So that's definitely where I started. And then, if they were willing to share some of the orgs that they're interested in or working with or shops or that kind of thing, then I would slowly add to my kind of repertoire of social media followings and organizations that I was looking out for and stuff like that. So that's where it's kind of started, with just trying to follow as many native athletes as I could, and then kind of branch out in different categories from there. Those are three that I've been a big fan of the last couple of years, though.
That's awesome.
And then Leah,
Yeah.
obviously. I mean, she's the only other person I know in disc sports, or at least that level of disc sports, right? The kind of like elite or pro. So it's been kind of cool to connect with her and
I know
lean on her.
Jennifer Allen in disc golf. I think she's Oklahoma Cherokee, I think.
Okay.
I've reached out to her a couple of times when we've missed each other trying to get interviews, but and talking to Leah, apparently, I mean, she doesn't tour completely because she is a mom of a few kids and has a really busy schedule. So I haven't been able to hook up with her, but I know she's also involved. So yeah, that's cool.
And you'll have to forgive me. I'm not a disc golfer, so I don't really follow the sport that much. So if I missed anybody, I'm sure I missed plenty.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I missed it a lot too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super cool when I first saw Leah on. I saw her because she was running for the PDGA board. Is really how I saw her. And getting to meet her at the United States Disc Golf Championship was really fun. She's super cool. She's a great personality. Just, man, the energy and that was cool. So if people are looking to follow you and follow your sport, where's the best place to go?
Yeah, so USA Ultimate is the governing body of the kind of like amateur level. So they're the ones that are going to run youth, which would be middle school and high school. So if you want to get your kids involved in playing, that's the first place I would start. They also run the college and club division. So there's a lot of their social media. You can find a lot of like live streams of games and things like that. If you're looking for the pro level, I play for the AUDL, which is the American Ultimate Disc League. My team is the Minnesota Wind Chill. So if you just like Google those, they're pretty active on social. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram. bmattis61 is my handle on both of those. Yeah, that's where you can find us. And then the other two that I mentioned earlier were the Premier Ultimate League and the Western Ultimate League. There's not too many Frisbee leagues, so if you Google those, you should be able to to find their YouTube or their websites and stuff like that. So, but if you're looking for like ways to play, I would definitely start with the USA Ultimate, because they kind of like span the widest range of playing opportunities.
And you mentioned before we started recording, today's was tryout for your team.
Yeah, we just started. We usually do an open tryout, which is like literally anybody in the community can come. But with COVID and trying to keep numbers down, I mean, it's like 20 degrees and there's a bunch of snow on the ground in Minnesota, so we have to be indoors. They dome a lot of the turf fields around here. So with the restrictions there, we did an application only process this year. So we had 50 athletes in attendance this weekend. We're going to whittle it down a little bit and have kind of a second round of tryouts next weekend. And then after that, the team's going to be solidified. So we'll start practices about 2 weeks following that. And then everything kind of dominoes because the season goes really fast once the team is picked. Like the first game, at the beginning of May is going to be here before we know it. So it gets crazy.
And one other thing I meant to ask about earlier, but you mentioned you guys are semi-pro, like a lot of in disc golf and other sports at this level. So I know you've got some sponsorships and other things like that. How are you making a living on tour?
I'm not. I have a full-time 9-to-5 job, and most of us do actually. So I work in marketing for a cybersecurity company. I'm basically a ghostwriter. I run our blog, some stuff like that. And the Frisbee is a passion project for me. But I have a lot of faith in the sport. I have a lot of faith in the AUDL. I have a lot of faith in the women's leagues. So I expect them at some point to be in a situation where people could start doing this full time. And I mean, I think there's a few, like there's a couple guys from New York in our league that are like having their like rent paid for and stuff so they could play only ultimate if they really needed to. But I mean, for me, like I'm approaching 30, which is not super old, but it's old for sports, or it's starting to get old for sports, especially a sport that runs as much as Frisbee does. So for me, it's more about just kind of like paving the path for the next generation. I'm trying to leave the league in a better spot than it was when I found it, kind of thing. So the sponsorship stuff that I've been doing is mostly just because I have marketing backgrounds. And I mean, you look at sports like the NBA or the NFL, and like Giannis has more followers than the Bucks do, for example. So I think that Frisbee players are maybe a little bit uncomfortable with the kind of self-promotion aspect that comes along with making the jump into being like a true professional athlete. So a lot of my sponsorship stuff for
tour, you having to depend on sponsorships and other job opportunities.
Yeah, so I don't make a living playing ultimate. I have a 9-to-5 day job. I work in marketing for a cybersecurity company, like running the blog and writing. And I think that ties into kind of like how I've approached being a professional ultimate player. I mean, you mentioned that I have a couple of sponsorships and ambassador things. That was more kind of for me to, I mean, I'm a little bit of an older player at 30. I don't know how many miles are left on the body, but I'd like to kind of leave the league in a better place than I found it. So knowing that I have a marketing background, knowing that, you know, the players are the brand, right? Like a Giannis for the Bucks is going to have more followers than the actual Bucks are, or like people follow LeBron, people follow Tom Brady. So I think that's kind of the jump that we need to make. And I think ultimate players have been a little bit shy, I think, about some of the self-promotion stuff. They shouldn't, because it's a great sport and the people in the leagues are amazing athletes. But yeah, so some of the sponsorship stuff that I've been doing is mostly just a way for me to kind of like prove that it can be done, prove that brands and companies are willing to work with Frisbee players as athletes. You know, hopefully to set the tone and help the kind of next wave or next generation of younger players be able to do this full time. I mean, I definitely think that I have a lot of faith in the league that I play in, and I think the people are hungry for women's sports too. So I have a lot of faith in the two women's pro leagues that have started up recently. So yeah, I'm here to kind of help grow those leagues, and if I can make a few bucks while I do it instead of having to, you know, pay a bunch of money to travel for club tournaments every summer. I mean, I'm still going to do that too, but like there's a lot of benefits. I would love to play anyway. So to be able to get paid anything and then have brands be willing to work with me on top of kind of paving the way, I think is a win-win for me. So that's kind of how I've approached being a pro or semi-pro Frisbee player.
Yeah. And I think that's, you know, when I hear people in disc golf or in sports like yours, you know, it is a passion. And it's something you'd be doing whether you're paid or not. We've got people in disc golf that are living in their Priuses and making YouTube videos about it. And, you know, and spending a whole year doing that before he got any sponsorships. So it is something that, as the sport grows, I'm hoping that will turn out to be a little better for all the players.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, again, man, thanks so much for spending a little time with me. That was awesome. I hope it'll help at least grow the sport a little bit, or give a little bit more light on, the ultimate sport, and that it is so accessible and it's so easy to get started. And hope some people will go out there, watch a few videos, maybe catch some live streams, and then grab a disc and head out to the field.
Absolutely. I would love to see so many more Indigenous people playing Ultimate. If you want, I gave out my social handles before.
Yeah.
You need help setting up a clinic or anything, getting some discs in people's hands, like, don't, please reach out to me. Do not hesitate to. I would love to give some more access to Indigenous athletes to be able to play this sport, because I think it's super fun. I think everybody who loves sports would also think it's super fun. And with the costs of, being so low, at least at the entry level, for sure.
Right. Any travel sport's going to get expensive, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I would love to at least get you pointed in the right direction if you need help with some
That's awesome.
resources.
Yeah, we're talking to Lee about maybe doing a clinic this year, so maybe that we can do a combined clinic. That'd be fun.
Absolutely. And I told Leah I'm not a good disc golfer, but if she needs help, I am more than willing to help with the clinic. I'll do whatever it needs, even if it's just shagging discs. I'll be happy to be out there helping.
That's probably about all the help I would be too. I'm nowhere close to her level. So
me neither. Not at that sport anyway.
All right, man. Well, good luck on the season, and hopefully we'll hook up at some point.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks again, Brandon, for spending a few minutes with us and talking a little bit more. So I got some questions in the chat about disc sports and his interview. So if you're not familiar, they're ultimate frisbee and disc golf, and they're played with the frisbees that you played with on the beach. Disc golf, they're a little different. And ultimate, they're a little bigger. They're meant to, like he said, fly really far and really high. But during the pandemic, ultimate and disc golf have really taken off. And so PowWows.com is sponsoring Leah Senegini on the Pro Disc Golf Tour this year, and we're highlighting Brandon here. So hopefully, more people out there will get involved in these sports. If you didn't hear us talk about it earlier, both these sports are super, super easy to get into. It's disc golf. You can download a UDisc app, which is free, and it will show you all the courses near you, and 90%, if not 95% of the courses out there are free. Ultimate frisbee is even easier. Or just get a disc and head out into the field. So hopefully you'll get involved in that. It's super fun. And then you'll end up, you can't see it, but disc all over the room, the wall up there. Some of my favorite pros that I got them to sign, including Leah's signatures up there. But yeah, thanks, Brandon, for spending a few minutes with us and talking about that. Again, here's his picture. And sorry, I said he was on the Chicago team. He plays in Minnesota, so sorry about that. All right, as promised, I said that we are doing a Pendleton blanket giveaway, and we have a bonus code since you watched tonight's video. So here you go. The bonus code for this week is 15688. Head on over to www.PowWows.com/win. Enter that code, and you can get extra entries into the contest. And you can go and enter daily to get even more entries. So keep doing that. We're hiding bonus codes in our newsletter, on the website, on the live streams, and all over the place in our podcast even. So go check that out and get all the bonus codes you can. You have till the end of February. Enter every day. The code for this week is 15688. Good luck. I hope you'll get one of those 10 Pendleton blankets. Who doesn't love a Pendleton, right? All right, so wrapping up, don't forget the PowWows are back. We are listing them on our calendar as fast as we can get them. We've got new ones almost every day now. We're putting more and more information in and updating new information as we get it. So www.PowWows.com/calendar. Don't miss those. There will be some near you. I promise there will be something close to you. So go check that out. They are happening again. We're working on our PowWow live streams tomorrow night. Make sure you stay tuned for Facebook and YouTube. We will be streaming. There is a virtual round dance tomorrow night that's being put on, and we're going to be streaming that live. in helping promote that and carry that. So that's going to be super cool. The lineup for tomorrow night is awesome. They got some incredible singers. Don't miss that. Stay tuned on our Facebook and YouTube. We'll have that there. Not going to have it on Instagram. Sorry about that, folks, but it will be on Facebook and YouTube. So go head on over to the PowWows.com sites and check that out. Virtual round dance tomorrow night. Super, super cool. I cannot wait to see that myself. They're going to have singers from all over the country participating and some big names. Man, it's going to be super fun. All right. And thank you all out there who are supporting PowWows.com, especially those who are helping sponsor shows like this and our podcast and our webcast. Those are the folks over at Powwow Nation. Those are our Patreons who are contributing each month and really helping us create new content. We're asking if you're able to join our Patreon, because we are trying to get to more powwows this year. We really want to increase our live stream. We're looking at some new equipment that can get us into more remote areas and get some of those stories of the powwows we haven't been able to go to before because there hasn't been internet. We've got some ways to do that, but we really need some help to get there. So please go check that out over at www.powwownation.com. Would appreciate that support. And of course, don't forget to go and support our shop on our online store for merch, stuff like this. And we've got Leah Senegini's sticker and t-shirts up, and we'll have some more merch for her coming soon. Hopefully we're going to have some Leah Senegini discs later in the season, so all those proceeds will go to help her on the tour. All right, everybody, I'm Paul Gatter, and I do this every Thursday night at 9 o'clock on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. This is our weekly show, and I'm glad that you were able to stop by and spend a few minutes with me. Thanks to our guest, Brandon Mattis of the Ultimate Frisbee Professional Leagues. Really appreciate that. So thanks so much. I hope I will see you soon. Have a good night and have a great weekend. Hope you're making it to a powwow soon. Thanks, everybody. Good night.